Hey, good morning, everybody. I say morning, I don't know when you're watching this. It's morning for me. I'm here recording our new vocab video. So let's go ahead and give this thing a watch, right? We'll get into what we have going on here today. So here are the words for this week. We've got Jockin, Delectable, Ethereal, Anthropology, Flippant, Pestilential, Salubrious, Anomaly, Criterion, and Morbid. They're tough words. They're all essential words. They're words that you'll see in your life, but they're not ones that you necessarily use every day. However, in order to be a person able to participate in those sophisticated conversations, you don't know what words are going to come up. Trust me, these will come up in your life. Let's go through them. So first we got Jockin. Oh, I need to move this little picture of myself, don't I? I'm blocking things. So here we go. If something is jocund, it feels cheerful and happy and fun and jolly. Generally speaking, a person would be described as jocund. Now, a party could be a thing that concerns people, like a party, right? It can be jocund. You wouldn't describe a dog that way. You wouldn't describe a picture that way. It has to be something with actual human life going to it, all right? And really primarily it's for describing people or an event for people. So jocund, it's an adjective like jolly, fun, cheerful, happy, fun, good time. All right, let's see. Next. Oh, why is that not working? There's our next slide. Oh, see, here's the problem. The picture's there. There we are. So let's go. I'm going to move my head again. I keep moving around. Next, we have delectable, which means extremely delicious. Not just that, but also really desirable and wanted. People can use it in a way beyond delicious that we'll talk about in just a second here. If something looks delectable or tastes delectable, it's unbelievably satisfying and good. It's satisfying you in ways you didn't even know were possible. Now, it is used for food. However, people do sometimes use it to talk about the attractiveness of another person. They just want to gobble them up. Now, this is not like in the way if you talk about like a baby, like, oh, I could gobble you up, you're so cute, but more in the way of, well, lustful desire. I could eat them up. They're so overwhelmingly lovely, I could eat them up. That's what that's about. So let's go on to our next one. Ethereal. Oh, I covered up one of our ethereal people. Oh man, what am I going to do with this little face of mine? I'm going to move myself again. Yeah, this will work. I'll just move it around for a moment. So right now we have the word ethereal. Ethereal means absolutely perfect and beautiful in a way that seems almost out of this world or too perfect. Almost heavenly. Fragile and perfect, like porcelain or glass, right? Ethereal's not just beautiful and perfect, but it has a delicateness to it and maybe a subtlety to it. Now, I was curious. I was trying to find people who would suit this. Like Timothée Chalamet has an ethereal kind of beauty to him. He's very pretty, has the high cheekbones. He's real sharp. He looks like his skin's almost going to get cut by how sharp his bones are. Ana de Armas has kind of a similar thing, where she's so delicate, you feel like there's a doll-like quality to both of them. And when I was looking at the pictures, they match and they look kind of similar. It weirded me out when I noticed it. So this can be a person's beauty, a wisp of cloud, someone with a really delicate singing voice. These all are things that could be ethereal. It comes from the Greek word for air, the ether, right? There's kind of more to the Greek definition than that, but that's good enough for now. But it's something perfect and delicate that could kind of be washed away at any moment. All right. Next slide here. We've got anthropology. I'm going to move my horrible face again. Let's see. Anthropology is a noun. It's a field of study. It's a science, like biology or archaeology. You'll notice those both have the ology. Well, all three of them do. That's the study of, right? The study of something is ology. So anthro relates to human beings. Now, this particular study of what it is to be a human being, what defines human beings and human civilization and human progress. This is an enormous subject. It includes behavior, culture, different societies, linguistics and how they function, and more. It's a really big topic. It can be loosely applied to nearly anything, but people usually mean more ancient topics when it's being discussed. When I took anthropology in college, it was about like early human beings, like pre-civilization human beings, cave people, basically, right? So that's one aspect of it, but it can go all the way up to present time. Just what are the things that bond us that are common to human nature and human behavior? All right, I have to see. This is a real problem. I'm going to have to shrink or get rid of my little face here. That's all right. So, flippant. Generally, people are described as flippant. It's not a thing you would call, well, a cat. I realize I have Garfield as my example, but flippant is an adjective. To be flippant is to lack respect for something or to lack a seriousness for something, or just in a given situation, you can behave flippantly toward it. You just kind of don't care about it. Some students are flippant when we're discussing really important things. They toss aside the weight of the issue, and they're disrespectful to their peers in that moment. Someone's like sharing a sad story and they're talking about other stuff. They're on their phone or whatever, and they don't care. They're being disrespectful. They can be disrespectful to their teachers. It's not necessarily being outright disrespectful. It's not flipping someone the bird and wandering away. It's not giving something the kind or amount of attention that it's due. That's maybe a better way to look at it. So this illustration of Garfield only covers part of the meaning. Like I can, but I won't is about denying something, right? Not doing it. Flippancy, to use the noun of it, demands that there's a rudeness involved, right? There's also a not appreciating the seriousness of the situation. That maybe is a better way to put it. Now we've got pestilential. This is kind of interesting. It's the adjective form of pestilence. Pestilence is a noun. Pestilence is like a disease or a sickness that goes through a whole community. It has kind of biblical implications. Kind of like the spread of a plague, right? If a pestilence is going through, the very air itself might be feeling like it is full of terrible disease. It's taking everyone out. This is a plague doctor in the illustration here. Plague doctors were... Well, there are doctors during the bubonic plague who would go around these crazy masks with the beaks, but the beaks weren't just like for decoration. They're full of herbs and grasses and things of that nature, plants that they thought would protect them and filter out the germs and kill it, which I don't know, might have worked a little bit, but not as much as they would have liked. So again, it's a noun. It describes widespread and terrible disease which rapidly spreads. It can also be used in a more hyperbolic way, in an exaggerated way, to describe someone who's horribly frustrating and hard to be around. Oh, the guy's a pestilence. Or I was in his pestilential company. He ruins the whole party whenever he's around, something like that. Next we have salubrious. Salubrious is great. It's an opposite of the last word. If something is salubrious, it's extremely healthy, and it's actually working to make you healthier. It's not like a medicine, though. It's something more like from the natural world. People might describe fresh air this way. You go out and you're, the salubrious morning is really, helping me out. Sunshine, when it's been cloudy, will feel salubrious to you. Now, something is salubrious when it's really beneficial or helpful in a way related to health, but again, it's not actual medicine. It can also be used to describe a place, right? If you found... I don't know, you go to a place that's holy to you, that's sacred to you, you can find it salubrious, right? It's healing you and your soul even. It's not just one element. It's not just the air necessarily. Like this is a hot springs. You can see tiny people in that thing. They're in the cold. You can see the snow and everything on the mountains and the steam coming up. There's a natural hot springs. A lot of people believe that those are salubrious, so they actually make you healthier when you're in them. Anomaly. An anomaly is an exception to what is expected, one that doesn't ruin the general pattern. It doesn't betray like the theory or the pattern is untrue. It's just this one kind of outlier, right? That's an anomaly. It breaks from the pattern and from what is normal. It does not have a negative connotation to it. If I use the word oddity, if I use the word abnormality, those have judgmental tones to them. And oddity is, ooh, that's not what I expected. I'm not sure I like that or not. Abnormality is, oh, that's bad. That's a thing I don't want. That's not an anomaly. An anomaly is a neutral, judgment-free word. If everyone in a family had green eyes, and then one kid has brown eyes, that's an anomaly, right? It's not that kid has something wrong with them. Of course, it's just a kid. But, something happened when their genetic code was getting mixed around with their parents, and the brown eyes ended up becoming more dominant. So they're an anomaly in the family. But nothing wrong with brown eyes. I like brown eyes. They're awesome. Criterion. A criterion is a standard or a requirement for something. It's a factor upon which judgment or decision or even a distinction or classification is based. You might be more familiar with the word because of criteria. Criteria is actually the plural. We might say, oh, that doesn't suit my criteria. Criteria is the plural of criterion. So the judgment or decision, this could be things like grading something or the list of traits that you have for someone you want to be friends with or date or whatever else. A car you want to buy. It could be all kinds of things. It can also be used, though, for classification of one of the criteria for being a dog, making up this example, is the criterion of being a mammal. That's one of the things. It's not a mammal, definitely ain't a dog, right? It also has to have a snout. That's another criterion. It has to have a tail. Well, I mean, it's supposed to have a tail. Some tails get bobbed. It's the whole list of things. So it's a distinction upon which a classification might be made, right? It's the requirements for it. There might be a very long list of criteria, and those are the criterion, or of criterion rather, and those together would be the criteria. You know what I mean? All right, let's go to the next one. So again, criterion, singular. That's the important point here. Morbid. This comic made me laugh. We'll just kind of read it because otherwise, it's going to be a distraction for us. We got two students sitting here because the word is morbid, which is an adjective. And two students, one passes the other one a note. And the teacher catches them. She says, "Kid, will read that for the rest of the class." She's really calling them out here. And the kid, who's pink, says, quote, "I fear it's too late to stop the effects of climate change. Our future looks very bleak. The earth I know will be gone forever, and I feel powerless to save it." And the teacher, kind of overwhelmed by the insight, but the darkness of this, says, "Wow, that was..." And then the kid finishes reading the note, and it says, "P.S. Miss Baker sucks ass." I laughed and laughed when I found this comic. It's pretty morbid. Now, morbid is one that has kind of two meanings to it, both of which are really important for our purposes. The first is it's used to describe someone or something with a fascination for disturbing or unpleasant topics, usually death and disease. Now, this can be also used for like a sense of humor, right? If someone has a morbid sense of humor, they find some pretty dark stuff funny. They're going to make jokes about some pretty unpleasant things like this comic does. If someone is morbid, they're like, I don't know, they're wearing lots of stuff with skulls and they're talking about death and how much they want to be an undertaker or whatever it is. Those aren't necessarily bad things, right? But that is a morbid interest. They are unusually interested in these darker topics. Now, the second meaning of morbid is also really important. It's used medically to describe something that's potentially deadly or qualifies as a disease because of its severity, such as being morbidly obese. If someone's heavy, lots of people are heavy, but if you're morbidly obese, that means it might kill you. That means you're really gonna have some serious issues come up. All right, that is the end of the words. That is the end of it. Kind of a long video, almost 13 minutes, but I hope you learned something. Do study this. Get ready for the vocab quiz. These words are a real challenge. So I'll see you then. Good luck on the quiz.